Go, Michael, this is super new for us. How do you feel right now? How do you feel doing the live this way?
I'll be honest with you, it's either feels super new or feels super old to me. I remember sitting in a room just like this years ago,
Okay,
doing a podcast with no video,
okay,
with my red Scarlet box, and hoping
okay, okay,
against
okay.
hope, that the internet was okay. But here we are, back, back in the saddle again. How are you doing, Martin?
Back. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. AGTP, ATP are on the road right now this week, right? So we didn't want to, leave the fan down, right? We didn't want to
No,
leave
no, no,
people
no.
without an AGTP daily, and
They
so we
want it.
decided to do it even if we are on the road. So super cool to be here.
Look, Martin, we go live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to
Mhm.
discuss the most important tech stories in the U.S., right? Today's Wednesday. It's a day that ends in day and ends in Y. The 13th of May, 2026. We weren't going to let a day pass without trying to do the best episode we possibly could. Let's get right to it. There's a lot of stuff going on as usual.
Mhm.
First of all, we're going to talk about eBay has rejected GameStop's takeover bid. I think it's actually
Mhm.
going to be more interesting than most people think. It's not just a no. There's more to it than that. Paymentology, we actually did a recording with the CEO of Paymentology in November of 2025 at the Singapore FinTech Festival. They just raised 175 million bucks.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So we'll
Really
talk about
big.
that too.
Mhm.
There's been a whole bunch of talk. You remember when Mythos was first mythologized back in what was it, March or April? I can't remember. But now Japanese banks want to get access to it. They want to be part
Mhm.
of this test program. So that's actually kind of interesting too. And if we have enough time and we can get to it, we should talk about a company that um, just raised $5 billion at a $61 billion valuation, a company called Anduril. And again, another company that's actually way more interesting than I would have originally thought. And again, here's $5 billion. It's not
Mhm.
$5 million. It's not $50 million. It's not $500 million. It's $5 billion
Yep.
at a $61 billion valuation.
Oh
So
wow.
this actually matters. Okay, let's get to this. So everybody knows that, what was it, on May 4th, GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen. I hate what they do. They write this wrong all the time in the news. He says made an offer. He didn't make an offer. An offer in the financial markets, this drives me nuts. An
Mhm.
offer in the financial markets is the desire to sell something. I offer this to you. He made a bid. A bid is
Mhm.
a you make the decision to buy something, and here's the price I'm willing to pay for it. That is a bid, not an offer. Please get this right. I didn't sit on Wall Street for over 20 years to hear somebody get this wrong every single day. The split was supposed to be 50% cash and 50% GameStop stock. Um, but eBay rejected this. Sorry, I want to make one more point just so there's context here. It was a 46% premium to where eBay was trading it in early February, when GameStop quietly started buying some of the shares, right? So GameStop actually owns 5%. And
Of
keep that in mind when we talk about the rest of the story, because I think it's going to make the rest of this thing kind of interesting. I love doing this, Martin, by the way, with a handheld mic. I dare anybody to hold a mic that weighs like 300 grams. I don't know, for like an hour and a half. I just dare you. Just walk
we
around with it.
we are going to work out at the same time, Michael.
Anyway, I don't mind it. I'm going to do it tomorrow for 3.5 hours. So it's all
Mhm.
good for me. Um, eBay rejected GameStop's unsolicited $56 billion bid, and they called it, in quotes, neither credible nor attractive.
Mm.
Okay. And again, keep all of these little details in mind. The board cited eBay's standalone prospects. In other words, the fact that they think without anybody taking them over, without anybody bidding for the company, they are fine. And we'll get to some of those details in a bit as well. They also cited the uncertainty around GameStop's financing, right? So again, GameStop's only has about, first of all, its market cap is only around 10 to $11 billion. They want to take over a company that's worth $56 billion. I believe they have $9 billion in cash. Yep, they
Yeah, I was going
do.
to say. Yeah.
And cash equivalents and marketable securities, which they'd either have to sell or use or do whatever.
Yep.
But again, that's way below $56 billion. And they said that the leverage and operational risks, I want to talk about what leverage is as well, doesn't make any sense, meaning they're going to have to borrow heavily to make up the difference in both cash. And here's the thing, their stock does not have enough value to justify 50%.
Mhm.
And we talked about this, but when Ryan Cohen went on, what was it, Martin, CNBC,
CNBC, yeah, yeah, the
and they
one that
asked
was
him,
like really, really bad, right?
Well,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think we should point this out, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you want to go on TV and say, if somebody says to you, how are you gonna actually justify making this bid? How are you gonna finance this bid? You don't want to say like it's on our website. Like that's not the answer to this,
Yeah.
to anything. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, I'd like to marry your daughter. Is that okay? Well, how are you going to treat her? It's on my website. Just go take a look at it. Like no one's going to approve this. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
also the
Mm-hmm.
leverage, just the sheer amount of money that they're going to have to borrow, right? Because one of the things that Ryan Cohen said was, well, you can lop off $2 billion at least, like right
Ye-
away
Mm-hmm.
in marketing and sort of
Yeah.
other
Mm-hmm.
other costs that eBay has. So then that will drop right to the bottom line. But the fact is, it can't drop directly to the bottom line because interest rates are no longer at zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had tried to do this deal a few years ago where interest rates were essentially zero or 25 basis points overnight, right? And for anybody who understands how the yield curve works, it's normally upward sloping,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if short term rates, and I'm just making this up off the top of my head, but let's actually not make it up. Let's see what the Fed funds rate is. Well, because that's the overnight rate where
Yes.
banks borrow from each other. So the
Yeah.
overnight Fed funds rate is a target rate right now between 3.5 to 3.75%.
Okay.
It's not zero. It's 350 basis points at least away from zero. But they're not going to borrow for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to do a 10-year borrowing, let's just say. Or maybe they'll do scaled borrowing, some five, some seven, some 10. But that means it's going to be 5%, 5.5%, 6% as the curve goes up and higher. And even if the curve was flat, I know this doesn't make a lot of sense, but people that are investors will understand this. Even if the yield curve gets flat up over 7 years and out to 10, they're still going to have to make payments on these loans.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, if he believes that he can increase revenue, then that can cover some of the stuff that he's going to do. But eBay is completely not confident about this, and also very concerned. They cited GameStop's governance and incentives. And Martin, there's one other thing that you should know too. I mean, there's a bunch of other things, but there was a story a few days ago where Ryan Cohen was, I forget, he was on a podcast or somewhere, and we almost did a whole story about this, but there wasn't enough like meat on the bone for this
Okay.
particular story. But there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely meat on the bone to add for this one. And he said uncategorically, excuse me, I'm not really into GameStop. I'm not
Okay.
passionate about GameStop.
Okay.
So
That's not
that's a
good.
little scary. You know what I mean? Again,
Yeah.
it's like going to your girlfriend's house and the dad's like, "You want to marry
Mm-hmm.
my daughter?" I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of into her, but not
Mm-hmm.
really. It doesn't give everybody a ton of confidence. Um, and the market is also skeptical about this. So one of
Mm-hmm.
the things we should talk about is there's a whole business on Wall Street called mergers arbitrage.
Okay.
There used to be a lot more activity in the mergers and acquisition space, and what it meant was there was an entire trading desk that was set aside to say, "Huh, he's making a $125 bid for eBay. Okay, maybe the financing is a bit uncertain. Maybe it's a little bit too much leverage. But maybe if he's actually identified value, maybe somebody else will come in and bid 150 or 175. Let's do our own
Mm-hmm.
analysis and see
Mm-hmm.
what we think this thing is actually worth if you buy it, break it up, or do a whole bunch of different things."
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But the stock is not trading above 125. Okay.
So which means that nobody believes that that it can do the mechanism that you just described. Like no one believes that anyone is going to have a better idea and to be able to pay more for it. No one. Zero.
Well, let's just see where the price. So the price closed at 112.
Okay.
So what does that tell you? Normally, if people believe that this was going to happen, let's just say they believed it was going to happen, but they believed it was fair value. What is anybody's downside risk for paying 125? Don't answer the question. It's rhetorical, right? But what is anybody's risk for paying $125 for that stock? It's zero,
Mm-hmm.
because GameStop has already said, I want to buy all the stock and I want to pay $125 for it.
Yes. Yes.
So you may not make any money, but you won't lose any money. But
Mm-hmm.
you've now bought yourself an option on the fact that somebody else may come in and buy that stock,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
see.
there's a timing factor here as well. So if excuse me, if GameStop is going to make this bid and close this bid in like a month or two, you have a month or two of risk of you have downside risk if the deal doesn't go through. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
confident the deal's going to go through, you're happy to pay 125, because in that time period other things might happen that you haven't anticipated, and someone may pay 130, 150, once you don't know. But the market
That's
does
interesting.
not believe this thing is going to happen. It just doesn't believe this thing is going to happen. Otherwise, it would at least be trading with a price of 125.
Yeah, that's really
And
interesting. Yeah, that's
sorry, go ahead.
no, but I think that's really, really interesting what the market tells us from that, right? And
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, like if the market doesn't believe into that, it means that a lot of people do not believe into that, right? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
as you said, there's a lot of people who did analysis, who thought about it, who said, "Hey, how can we make money about it?" But like because like when we talk about like the stock market, we talk about people who all days they just want to make money. That's their only goal, right? and
Mhm.
so and so if people don't believe that they can make money, I think it tells a lot about the deal, right? Definitely, yeah. And now it's been
Yeah,
what? It's been like a
100%.
week, 10 days, right? That
So
he announced
May
it.
4th was the time that he
Okay,
made the bid, and what day is today? May
13,
13th.
so 9 days. Yeah.
So 9 days, maybe six, excuse me, maybe 6 business days. But here's the other interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. The deal was also the loan, because he has debt that's, I don't want to say secured because that has a different meaning, but he has been given a quasi promise from a lender that
Okay.
if he goes forward with this, that they will actually lend him, what was that, $20 billion, I think, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes. He announced that
Yeah.
he had
20
a
billion.
bank control.
Let's be clear in the terminology here. A $20 billion debt commitment from
Mm-hmm.
TD Securities. This is part of Toronto Dominion Bank.
Okay.
But that debt commitment was partially based on the combined company receiving an investment grade rating.
Okay.
So Moody's or Standard and Poor, whatever, would have to like go through the books and records and see like, okay, if they do this, they take on this debt. What's the debt service going to be? What's going
Mm-hmm.
to be the impact on their ability to service this debt? And then what would we give this rating if it was just an independent company? This combined entity was just an independent company. And they said that the Moody's at least came out, I believe, and said that they would downgrade the debt,
Oh, really?
that it would be credit negative for eBay, right?
Really? But they
Yeah.
didn't have access to any books or anything, so it's just based on the.
Well, that's not true, right? Because eBay's a
Yeah.
public company, so all
True.
of their
True. True.
stuff
True.
is
Both of them.
public.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
And same for GameStop.
sorry, what's it called? GameStop is
GameStop.
also a public company, so
True.
they have
Okay.
at least access to last year's stuff, and they can extrapolate. But here's where it gets super interesting too. So the real question is, was this a real bid,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
is Ryan Cohen just or is it something else?
Mm-hmm. Interesting
Right.
point.
So the reality is that if it wasn't even a real bid, the board would not respond.
Okay.
They just would. They'd just be like, "That's a
Yeah.
complete joke."
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like, here's $4 for eBay. No one's going to respond to this. Right? Like, I could make a phone call and they'd just be like, "That's not credible. We're not even going to respond." But they did respond.
True.
So that means this is not just like it's not just like social media fodder.
Yeah.
But it may be something else. I think we'll get that something else. We'll get to what that something else is.
Okay.
Now, again, the part of the thing was that the debt commitment was predicated on the fact that the company had to be rated highly. It had to be investment grade, and it's this weird sort of circular, like vicious circle type of thing. Is the debt may depend on a credit profile that the deal itself alone could damage, right? So like if you just leave it alone, eBay could probably borrow $20 billion and nobody would think anything of it.
This is so mean, right? This is so
But the
mean.
combined
Like,
entity,
yeah,
but the combined entity
cannot.
would get downgraded according to Moody's. There are other
Yeah.
ratings agencies, but I mean, and all these rating agencies have their own sort of agendae, if that's even a real word.
Okay.
But sometimes people don't make these bids because they actually want to buy the company.
So what was the plan here?
So does GameStop? Is there some other logical reason why? Well, let's actually back up before we get to that, because I think that's going to be like the third piece of this. Let's get to the second piece.
Okay.
Does GameStop actually have like a logic for even want to own this business? So the first thing for me is that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, like Ryan
No, go
Cohen
ahead.
said that he loved the business. He really wanted to run eBay. Like, I mean, he was so much into it, right? Like in all the media apparition that he did that 10 days ago, He was so much into it. He was like, I love the business, I can run it, I can make it much better. Also, he was so aggressive against the existing like board and all of them, right? And then that's the board who say, we don't want you to come. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, because he said like they are paid for
Right.
doing nothing. He's going to cut through the salaries of absolutely everybody, including the board, right? So he said like so much mean things to the employee and to the team, but at the same time, he said, I love the business, I want to run it. He said like, wow, this is like, I don't know, the business of my life, blah 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 blah. Right? That's what he
Yeah.
said. That's what he said on TV and all the different media apparition. That's how it felt like at least. Mhm.
So the argument that Ryan Cohn is making is that combining GameStop and eBay is going to like unlock cost cuts on the marketing side, that they'd
Mhm.
have some sort of synergistic relationship. But here's the thing for me, and Reuters also said that he thought that he could use their 1,600 store base as a
Yeah,
potential physical network to
yeah,
help eBay compete more aggressively with Amazon, because Amazon does have some physical stores, but Amazon also does have warehouses all across the United States. It's a very
yes,
US centric deal, and
yes.
that's important to remember as well.
Okay.
Okay. Um, but sorry, but eBay has always been and is likely always will be an asset light marketplace,
Hmm.
right? So think about it. I have some kind of collectible. You want to buy my collectible. eBay never has to store it anywhere. They have no
No,
cost associated with it. It's pretty frictionless. No pun, no joke intended for you and me who are always talking about frictionless English.
we love that
But
word. We love that word.
we love this word frictionless, since the only people that use it are people that create friction. Um,
Let's not go there, Michael.
Let's not go there. I know. So the distinction here for me is that, like, even though both of the companies actually deal in collectibles,
Hmm.
their business models are completely different.
Hmm.
You go into GameStop stores; they only have 1,600 stores, okay, and eBay operates in 190 countries.
Yes. Okay.
But I mean, you just that so if you look around, like if you just ask the Google machine how many countries there are in the world,
Hmm.
there's some delta around 190.
Yeah, it's almost everywhere.
It's almost over. It's
Basically.
it's nicer to say, like, because you could say all over the world, but it sounds
Yeah,
better if you say like 190 countries.
yeah. 95% of all the countries in the world.
Yeah. So the idea here is that, like, eBay scale is just fundamentally global.
Mhm.
GameStop has 1,600 stores, which sounds like a lot. In a vacuum, it sounds like a lot, but it's nothing in comparison to what eBay has. eBay's whole model is like marketplace driven, and it's very, very, what's the right word? Like seller focused,
Mhm.
because the people that are on the platform that are constantly there are people that have stuff to sell. The
Yeah.
buyers come in and they've got 135 million, I think, active users. We said
Which
so. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So sorry, but by the way, they banned Ryan Cohen's seller account. They sent him an email and say, "Hey, you can't
All right, I was gonna.
be a seller anymore," which I thought
So
was
they
pretty funny.
they unbanned his account. So they banned it.
Oh,
But again,
unbanned.
this is like this petty stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, when I was thinking about doing a story and doing some research on the initial reaction from eBay, the first thing they did was ban his seller account, because he was like trying to sell socks and like little things, and he was joking. He was kind of trolling them and saying,
Exactly.
who knows? I could sell a bunch of socks that could help finance this deal. And they were just like, we're shutting you down. We're just like, sorry, dude, we're shutting you
Exactly. They just shut down his account. I think this is
down.
really funny.
But I want to go back to this too, right? Because remember, one of the things the board said
Mhm.
was that they didn't find the financing credible.
Mhm.
And for anybody who hasn't seen this interview, should go watch the interview on CNBC. Look, I grew up in a time where these activist investors in the late 80s and early 90s, they were super happy, Martin, to take over companies, break them up, and sell
Mhm.
them for pieces. But they had a strategy. They had a financing strategy as well. And if they had to go on what was equivalent back then to CNBC, like whatever it was, or get interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, they would say, here is exactly how we're going to finance this. Here's the
Mhm.
bank that's going to work with us. Here's the exact amount of money we're going to borrow. Because they were proud of the fact that they could arrange the financing. It was one of the hardest
I
things to
see.
do.
I see.
And they'd say, we're going to buy this conglomerate. The individual pieces are worth more than the conglomerate together. We're going to break it up. We're going to cut costs. We're going to fire people. And we're going to invest, let's say, $10 billion, and the whole thing we think is worth 50. And then they'd sell it off in pieces and make 50. So the bank would get their money back relatively quickly, even if they took out a 7-year loan, because that was the only um, tenor they could get. Tenor means the length of the loan, right? So that the bank could approve it.
Hmm.
They would still, if they started making way more money and selling off the pieces faster than they thought, they could just pay down the loan really quickly. So nobody
Okay.
was really worried about the financing. But if you go and watch that video of him,
It's horrible.
he wasn't even combative. Like, it
Mm.
would have been better if he was like, don't you worry, man. I've got this financing. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean I don't
Mm.
have my financing set up. We're going to get cash here. We're
Yeah.
going to do this thing. Our equity is probably undervalued, so that's going to go up over time. And we're going to use some of that valuation to buy like like all of this stuff he could have done. But all he really did was just go read our
It's on our
website.
website. Yeah. It's on our
And
website.
it wasn't
Mhm.
even combative. It was more just
No.
evasive.
Yeah, or even like what's the word, Michael, when you just it was just mean, right, to the interviewer, to the people on TV. There were like three or four of
Yeah.
them trying
There
to
were a bunch
understand.
of there were a bunch of
Yeah,
ladies, a bunch of gentlemen, and they were all
exactly.
asking him in a very polite way. They were very
Yeah.
deferential to them. Like, look, we understand this could be a difficult deal, but you only really have $9 billion in
Mm,
cash. Your company's only worth $10 billion. That's 20.
mm.
And you've kind of
We have
arranged
this
for
law,
$20 billion
20.
in financing,
Mm,
but you can't use every piece of your stock because it's only supposed to be 50%. Like, what are we doing here? And he was just
mhm.
like, essentially, without saying this out loud, he was like, I'm not answering you idiots.
Yeah,
This is
that's
no
basically
way.
what.
Why? I don't
Yeah,
even know why I'm here.
that's
Can
basically
I
what he
please
was
go
saying.
home? My dog is barking and he's probably hungry, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
dismissive of them for sure, right?
Mhm. Yeah, 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 which really raised the question, like, why do you just go on TV if it's to do this type of things, right? It was really like, yeah, that the big question I had. But then he went on the other news network where he was a little bit more eloquent. He was saying more things. He was explaining a little bit more, right? But still, he was just saying basically it's half cash, half stock, right? And that's it basically, right? He was just saying that, no, not much more information. But so what do you think was the goal here? Because if
Okay. Let me let
yeah,
me get let me get
yeah,
to let me get to what I think the goal is here. So, but
tell me.
sorry, finish your question.
No, no, no. Yeah, I'm really wondering because I agree, right? Ryan Cohen is not stupid, right? Like, he has been very, really successful entrepreneur. He has built a big company before. He is a billionaire. He is a billionaire. Sorry. Um, I don't think he is stupid, and he knows a lot of ins and outs and how things work and all of that. So I really wonder what was the goal, if that was the plan from the get go.
So let's be fair here, right?
Okay.
Ryan Cohn is fundamentally not stupid,
Hmm.
but just because he built, I forget the name of the company that he built. Do you remember
Hmm.
off the top of your
No,
head? It was like,
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but he did sell it to another big company for a decent amount of money, and yeah, he's a billionaire.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, even Mark Cuban, who I love, I think he's insane, right? Like,
Hmm.
he sold broadcast.com in like 1932 to Young. I don't remember what year it was. It was a while ago. It's not like he's worth $400 billion today.
Hmm.
He's probably like, I don't know. Let's see what Mark Cuban's net worth is. And I love Mark. It's not like I'm not trying to make fun of him or do anything like that. But I'm just saying that, like, and you know that I've checked this before. So Mark Cuban's net worth is $6 billion.
Hmm.
He sold broadcast.com in the 90s for $4 billion.
Hmm.
So is he
Then
is he like a brilliant legend, or was he in the right place at the right time with like the right product that at the end of the day kind of got killed anyway? Like, you never hear about broadcast.com anymore. I don't know
no.
if Yahoo actually turned it into something else and they just changed the name or rebranded it. But the point is that, like, literally, if you'd just taken $4 billion and put it in the S&P 500 the day he got that and just like gone on vacation, it would probably be worth $40 billion. The point is that, like, even really smart guys who have good ideas and who are very innovative and frankly who are very forward thinking, maybe they are
Mhm.
visionary, doesn't mean they can run every business or every investment they make is going to turn out to be a
No,
winner.
for sure. I mean, this is definitely true.
And
Yeah.
look,
Mhm.
if I had Mark Cuban $6 billion, I'd be kind of laughing at the guy like Michael who's making fun of me for only having $6 billion. But my point is that, like, just because Ryan Cohen built a business and sold it for whatever amount of money that made him a billionaire doesn't necessarily mean that he's fundamentally qualified to run a business as big and as diverse as eBay. Now,
Mhm.
you said, so why would he do this?
Yeah.
Well, he may have done his homework.
Okay.
Okay. And his homework would have told him, let me give you some facts. Yeah.
Tell me.
His homework would have told him that eBay actually has some kind of momentum, not inertia.
Okay. Okay.
eBay's quarter, and I'm gonna read this right because I don't remember this off the top of my head, but eBay's Q1 2026 revenue rose 19%.
Oh wow. 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's not bad, right? To
Mm-hmm.
3.1 billion dollars. That's revenue.
Okay.
While their gross market value rose 18%, so around the same number, to 22.2 billion. eBay generated $970 million of operating cash flow and $889 million of free cash flow in quarter one 2026.
Okay.
So it's not like it's bleeding money.
No, and it's like twice the profit of the entire year for GameStop. They made like
Yeah,
400
yeah,
million, right? Something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So in
But
just
but more
Q1, they made
importantly,
twice the profit.
like the question here is like, why would the shareholders even want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a shareholder of eBay returned $639 million to shareholders in quarter one through stock buybacks and dividends. So
Mm-hmm.
their shareholders are happy.
Mm-hmm.
And its advertising business, we talked about this, Martin. I don't know if it was offline or online, but eBay's ad business, right, similar to Amazon's ad business, which generates, I think we said $56 billion a year.
Yes,
eBay
yes,
won't
yes.
get to that business. But again, they have a platform with 135 million people on it that are global. They should be able to generate revenue from ads, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That business generated $581 million. So it's on pace to be a $2 billion a year business.
Okay.
Their first party revenue from advertising was up 33%.
Okay. Yeah, that should grow super fast. Like, do you know when they launched the advertising business? Is it your old business? Is it recent?
I don't know, but the numbers are still
Yeah.
relatively low. So it's
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
something that they've done that's
Mm-hmm.
relatively new. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know the answer
Mm-hmm.
to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so eBay has its own kind of strategic story here. And maybe he knows this. Let's just go through a few more things.
Okay.
Management says focus categories consumer to consumer commerce, right? C2C. This is what eBay does. It's all C2C mostly. Um, and re-commerce, so people buying things and then reselling them on the platform at some kind of premium, are driving their momentum. And we didn't talk about this the first time we went through this, but eBay is also pursuing a company called Depop,
Okay.
which Etsy owns.
Okay.
Okay, and they're doing this for about a billion, $1.2 billion, and this is going to give it a more younger demographic into which they can then start selling other things. So that they're doing this not out of fear, but they wanted to do this for growth.
Okay.
So Ryan Cohen thinks that maybe he thinks that he can beat this plan, but it sounds to me like eBay is growing, it's generating cash, it's returning dividends and capital to its shareholders who are like, it's like they're over there having a party of like, champagne and cocktail, shrimp cocktail and like lobster bisque and all this other stuff. And Ryan Cohen like bursts open through the door and goes, I got a 6-pack of Schlitz. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Let's have a party.
that's really interesting because then it looks like the timing was completely wrong, right? Like it looks like from
Well,
Ryan Cohen's point of view, it was completely wrong. Should have done that 2 years ago. Go ahead.
but
Okay.
but we've in all of our energy talking about all of these
Mm-hmm.
interesting things about eBay
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that frankly there's not that much, at least not at the same level, of interesting stuff about GameStop. In my mind, this is my First Amendment opinion. I'm not saying that this is everybody's opinion. Um, but Ryan Cohen started buying up to 5% of eBay back in
Yes.
February, right?
Yes.
So, what would his profit be if someone came in and said, "You know what? Just never mind. Go away. We'll pay you $125 a share if you just go away." Because he's driven up the price of the stock, right?
You think you
And
just want to
this is
sell?
well. Let's just do a little bit longer.
Okay.
eBay 5-month
Growth.
stock price.
Because the price he said of 125, I think he said it was a 40% premium from the
46%
price
premium.
they bought in February, right? And so you're right. If today we are at 112, this is a huge increase already. This is a big increase.
So again, I'm not saying anything in particular,
Mm-hmm.
but let's go look at a
It was what,
6-month chart.
90, 85, 90, 95?
So let's just call it. It depends on when he started buying,
Let's say
but
February.
let's call it $90 a share.
Okay, I'm good now.
So you could
Right.
make 33% in a few months on
Imagine.
on a 5% ownership of the company. It's what's 5% of 55 of
Yeah,
gotta
that's like
subtract
$1 billion.
46%. Yeah, so maybe he doesn't want to own
But wait,
eBay at all.
that's really funny because if he bought 5% of a company that's $50 billion, let's say, okay, just to make the math easier, which means that's $1 billion. If he made 30% on that, that's $300 million, which is 1 year of annual profit for GameStop.
For GameStop, right?
But who did buy the 5%? Is it GameStop who bought the 5%? Is it Ryan Crane himself who bought the 5%? Like who bought that? Do we know that?
I think it's GameStop.
I think it's GameStop,
But
right?
actually it's unclear to me. It's unclear to me.
He's unclear. I agree. He said we,
But
like in
either
all the
way,
interviews.
he is GameStop, right? So
Yeah.
whether it's GameStop itself or whether it's him, it doesn't to me it fundamentally doesn't matter
Okay.
because whether GameStop profits or he profits, it feels like it's the same thing to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so maybe, and I don't know this, right? But maybe actually doesn't want to buy it at all. And here's the funny thing.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think this will surprise you, but when he heard the rejection news from the board of eBay, he was like, eBay needs to be on Ozempic. Do you even know what Ozempic is, Martin?
No. What is that?
You don't know. That's interesting.
Tell me.
Ozempic is a very specific kind of drug that, like, essentially, I think it like lowers your desire to eat food.
Okay.
And people take it. It's called like the fat drug. So people take it so they can lose a ton of weight.
Okay.
And his point is that, and he actually continues this. He says eBay is literally obese. It's about to have a heart attack.
Oh well.
Maybe he didn't read the news about their 33% growth in their advertising business and then 19% in their revenue increase in quarter one of 2026.
Yeah, it's
But he
big.
probably did because he's not stupid. Yeah.
No, 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 yeah.
But the point is, maybe he never actually wanted to take this business over. Maybe he was just making up all that stuff to get attention, but also to have somebody take him out of his stock. It wouldn't be the first time that GameStop itself was involved in some kind of meme stock
Mm.
shenaniganry,
Actually,
right?
in a way, it made sense. Like you, because it's true. Like the beach story that GameStop was involved in a couple of years ago is when that guy tried to short the company, saying, "Hey, this company is going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
die," right? And then basically the entire fan base of GameStop, like a big part of their customer base, was like, "We don't want GameStop to die. Sorry. So
Right.
if you short the company, we are going to
We're gonna
squeeze
buy
your
it,
shorts. We are just going to
and
buy
they
it,
did,
buy it, buy it, buy
and they
it, buy
did.
it, and then thankfully, basically, right? That's thanks to this movement that the company still exists today, right? Like they saved
Mm.
the company in the process by putting a lot of pressure on the short sellers who had to go out of their position. So that would be really, really funny to try to do the rally in the other way, right? Like you buy at 90, right? The share at 90, and then you wait a little bit until it goes up because the results are really, really good, right? So in terms of timing, that's perfect. And then once it hits 110, you say, hey, I'm going to buy at 125. And then you hope that everybody gonna buy, right? To push at 125, to put maybe higher, right? And then, yeah, and
So
then
you actually make a superbly great point. I want to go back to this. No, I want to go back to this eBay
tell me.
because remember the quote that you hear everybody talking about here is that it's 46% above its price in February,
Yes, but when they started to buy it, yep.
but not on May 4th, which is when he made the bid for the stock on May for the company on May 4th. That's
Yeah.
April 24th. I'm just looking at the chart. On May 4th, it was like 100 and something dollars. And part of this was, it could have been those guys. Like, I don't know how liquid eBay stock is, so I can't comment on whether they were actually pushing it up on purpose. But it wasn't like it was a big premium to its current stock trading
Yeah.
price when they made
Yeah.
the bid.
So yeah, no, true. And so maybe like now he's just trying to get the most out of his money, and maybe in 2 weeks you're gonna say, okay, I'm out, right?
But he has to
Okay,
sell first because
yeah, he
Martin.
has to sell.
So
He
if
has to sell.
if you think about merger arbitrage, right? People
Mm.
would pay 125 for this stock if they thought the deal was 100% going to go through. But it's
Yes.
trading at it has a price today of 112. So people aren't 100% sure it's going to go through, and frankly, it's not much higher than it was when he initially made his bid.
Yeah.
But what do you think happens to the stock when he says, I'm out?
Yeah, it just does it try? I mean, it don't have to sell for 5%. So that's like a big chunk of shares, right? He has
He's
to
not going
sell
to have
that.
to sell. He's not going to have to sell, but he may feel pressure to sell. But
Yeah.
more than anything, an existing takeover bid
Hmm.
puts a floor under the stock at some level, even if it's not the price at which you made the bid.
Okay.
But it puts some kind of floor there because, like, the dude said he's going to buy it.
Hmm.
So if you understand the way the market works, like that makes a certain amount of sense. But if he says, you know what, I'm no longer interested in owning this company because I can't get the financing or because the board, because the other thing he said he wants to do, Martin,
Hmm.
and this is pretty typical of a come on, Michael, what's the word? Oh, come on. I don't want to say unsolicited merger because that sounds too soft.
Okay.
Um why can I not remember the word
Hostile
for this?
takeover. That's the word.
I'm glad you're here.
I know.
Those 0 years of Wall Street experience you have let you remember a word that I could remember. So
Zero, Michael? Are you kidding me? I have like ton of
that's not
experience
true
on Wall
actually.
Street.
That's not true. That's not true.
I
You
have
did
my.
a lot of stock trading.
I think I
Your
stay
previous
what
company,
one
yeah.
day, right? I stay like one day on Wall Street just to the picture. So it's
Sorry,
not zero,
sorry,
Michael.
less than more than zero. Um, but the point is, this is pretty typical of a hostile takeover. They go to the
Okay.
board, they go to the company, and say, "We want to buy your company." The company was like, "Just please get out of our face. We have a business to run here." So he's threatening to go directly to the shareholders, either via some kind of special meeting or some kind of proxy fight, which is legal and possible to do.
Hmm.
But again, why would the shareholders who have already experienced a stock buyback this year see the momentum in the growth, see the new growth ideas in the purchasing of Depop, which they're buying from Etsy?
Hmm.
They see management actually trying to do things. And let's be
You're right.
fair,
You're right.
a $2 billion marketing budget,
Hmm.
I don't know. The company's growing 19% per quarter, at least last quarter, first quarter of 2026, according to the stats. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. It's good. You
Is
want
it
more?
useless? Is it poorly spent money? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true that all the fact that you have laid down tell a really different story compared to what Ryan Cohen said on TV, right? Like he was like, people are lazy, they are not working hard at eBay, they are getting huge salary to not doing more. The
Right,
business is
right, right.
not growing. They are spending money like crazy. That's what he said on TV, right? Like he said that. He said it's not growing, it's stale, right? Like they are just doing the same thing since 15 years. I will come in, I will make it super efficient, I will cut marketing, I will reduce the salary of the board members who are way too paid for what they are doing. That's what he said, right? So when you look at what you just said, that actually they are growing what 19% in that just one
In first
quarter.
quarter 2026, right? So
Yeah,
that's
so
yeah.
that's a lot. Like not every company like grew
It's not
19% in one
zero.
quarter.
In other words, like
It's big.
you can sit on the outside and say like this company's bloated, they're spending too much money on this thing, that thing, the other thing. But it's like, and I think part of it, because again, if you go back to what he was saying on CNBC, he was like, "You guys wanted me to die."
That's what he said even.
When I originally purchased GameStop, you made fun of it. You thought I was going to die. You thought the company was going to die. He just kept repeating this over and over again.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's a little bit of an ego thing in this as well, which is never good in my estimation.
So you think his plan was to just push the stock higher, and then what he's doing to do? Is going to just say I'm out? Is going to just say okay, I do nothing, I stay here? Like what's the plan?
So sometimes, again, this is
Mm,
back in the late 80s and early 90s, but sometimes the corporate raiders, right? These guys that were doing
mm.
hostile takeovers, sometimes hoped somebody else, they would accumulate a bunch of stock.
Okay.
They would show people that there was value there. Maybe
Okay.
they couldn't pull off the transaction on their own,
Mm,
but somebody else would look at it and say, "Oh my, there's a lot of money to make here." So then you de-risk yourself by not forcing, but by encouraging somebody else to come in, maybe two other somebody else's to come in
mm.
and make a bid for it. Who knows? Maybe he thought Amazon would look at it and just think, "Oh, let's get these pesky little eBay guys out of here. We have $50 billion like just sitting over there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can incorporate eBay into Amazon. We don't do the collectibles business. We don't really compete with them. They do operate in 190 countries. There are synergies there because we operate all over the world as well. Maybe he was hoping that Amazon would come in and go, "It's mine," at a slightly higher price, or some other maybe some foreign e-commerce person would come in and buy it. Alibaba, who knows?
True.
But it feels to me like I don't know what his game plan was or what his strategy was for sure. But it may not have only been just like I want to buy and run eBay for the rest of my life, because it sounds kind of corny. You know what corny means? Like,
Tell me.
like I just wanted to marry my high school sweetheart and live with her for the rest of my life. It's like it's cute, but like really, that's what you really want to do? Okay, okay. And you
Yeah,
were
no,
forced.
it's true.
Unfortunately, you were forced to marry a supermodel instead. But like all you really wanted in your heart was to marry your high school sweetheart,
Life is
who's like
hard.
who's a third grade teacher in the inner city right now. Do you know what I mean? Like
Life is really
it's
hard.
not clear to me what he wanted to do,
Okay.
but it's also not clear to me that he wanted to own eBay for the rest of his life.
Which is exactly what he said on TV,
It's
right?
exactly what
And
he said.
on the different media that he went on, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, it's really interesting because so does it mean that he will need to make a move soon?
No.
Does it mean that he can just wait now and just do nothing, or like
So
does he
essentially,
have the
he's
time pressure?
no, because I
Okay.
don't think his bid had any sort of time frame associated with it. But again, it's like he's asked somebody to marry him.
Hmm.
That's what a merger is, right? And they've kind of been like, we're already engaged.
Yeah, we don't want you. Thank you.
Yeah, so like he could keep pushing. Like he said, he may do a proxy war. He may, go directly to shareholders. But sometimes the shareholders are happy with current management. Like imagine if someone tried to take over Apple.
Yeah.
The shareholders could potentially revolt,
Hmm.
right? Because they don't want somebody else running the company. We don't know
Yes.
what this new guy is going to do, but they definitely didn't want somebody besides Steve Jobs or somebody besides Tim Cook running the company. I don't know where this is going to go, but I would make, and again, I hate doing this all the time, but like I don't want to give people stock advice. But I will say that from a mergers and acquisition standpoint, I do not think that 6 months out we're going to see that GameStop is the owner of eBay.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's not a crazy bet. I think you've made more crazy bet. I think the McGregor bet, for example, it's much more crazy than this one.
What's the McGregor bet?
The
He's never going to
Conor,
fight again in the
the
UFC.
Conor McGregor is never going to fight again in the UFC. I think this one is more risky than the GameStop is not going to buy eBay.
What is it? 3 years ago, I said John Jones would never fight again in the UFC. I was 100% right.
So three years ago, he did fight Stipe Miocic.
No,
So
I mean after his last fight, I told you he was never going to fight again.
but yeah, I think you don't take too much risk. I think you don't take too much risk. It doesn't look like eBay really want it. He
No,
doesn't have
this
the
is not a
cash to
risky
actually
bet.
buy it. He doesn't have the cash to buy it. Plus, it looks like the employee didn't want it as well. Right after all of this
Don't
talk to
think
the
so.
media and stuff, like we heard a lot from the employee saying, "Hey, actually, we are really happy like how it is." Right. So, what do you do when everybody, including the employee of the company, are actually against you? Right. And at some point, and plus, as you said, the 20 billion loan is subject to the
Contingent.
rating. It's
Yeah.
contingent to the rating, and Moody's said actually if you do that, we degrade your rating, which is so
Right, we
mean.
downgrade your rating. It's just like, what
we
are we doing?
downgrade your rating. You didn't even buy yet, right? We just we just say upfront it's going
So
to be done.
sorry,
It's
Martin. I've been thinking about this for a bit. I'm initiating a catchphrase for this show.
Tell me,
And that catchphrase is, what are we doing?
what are we doing?
It could morph into what are you doing, which is what I would say
Mhm,
to Ryan Cohn. What are you doing?
Yeah. So if you come in
But
the
that's
show,
my
Ryan,
catchphrase.
if you come in the show, we can have a really deep financial conversation about, okay, let's just talk for real here. What's the goal? Do you just want a nice
Yeah.
exit, right, on your stock? Did you make a mistake, right? And somebody pressure you to sell the stock and you just try to get the highest price you can, basically, right?
Right.
But yeah, but so what do you think? If he has to sell everything and he says he's out, does the price crash or not?
So again, I don't know what the liquidity of
Okay.
the stock is, but what he could do, it doesn't necessarily have to crash, right? Because the company has been
Doesn't
buying
have.
back stock.
Yeah.
The company spent $691 million. Do I have that number right? I'm just trying to remember from the thing that I said. Give me a second.
Yeah, I think that's what you said, like, around 600 million.
$639 million they returned to shareholders in quarter one through buybacks and excuse me, and where is it? And dividends. Um, so what happens to the stock? I don't know actually, but they could buy his stock back because eBay clearly has. If they're buying Depop for $1.2 billion, I don't know what 5% of the market cap is. It's what 2 point something $billion. I don't know. No,
Or
cannot be.
do you think about the possibility of like he did that to get eBay to actually buy GameStop? To do
So this is the other thing that I was going to say.
the other way around.
Because the reverse thing could definitely happen. But eBay
Yeah.
looks at GameStop and just thinks of it more like a gnat. You know what a gnat is?
No, tell me.
It's like a small fly that flies around you. Just
Okay.
give me 1 second. They got it kind of thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you're at the beach and you're just like having a great time and you're drinking a margarita and you're like, what is that sound? Tell me it's not a mosquito kind of thing.
I see.
Because I was thinking the same thing. Maybe he was trying to encourage them. Okay, you want to buy us? You can't afford us. We could just to
But
get rid of you. We could buy you easily.
but that's the or maybe not to get rid of you, but maybe like, okay, what you say makes sense. We actually thought about it as well. Why don't we buy you and you become the CEO, basically, right? Like something like that.
That's never gonna happen.
But but it looks like it looks like the way of trying to get them to buy you, to get them as an enemy, right? Like it is not really the great way to start a relationship, right? Like it doesn't really feel like when you say to them that you guys, you are lazy, you're not working hard, you are overpaid and all of these things, and do you want to buy me and I can be your CEO? It feels a bit it's a long shot.
Ryan Cohen must have been one of these guys in like fourth grade who like walked up to a girl who had like long hair and pulled her hair to try to get her attention. He was like, "This is why she's gonna fall in love with me if I just tug on her hair a little bit." That didn't work, and it doesn't work today in business. I think. Anyway, we should probably move on. We've been on this for
Oh yeah, wow.
almost the whole show. Maybe we just talk about one more thing. Let's talk about Paymentology, if nothing else. Yeah.
Let's talk about Paymentology. Yeah.
And let's at least cover some stuff in Paymentology. So, what was the CEO's name, Martin? Do you remember that we had on the show? I mean, I can get it.
He was on the show in November last year during Singapore FinTech Festival when they started to expand
Jeff Parker,
to
I think, if I remember correctly. It's
Jeff Parker. Jeff Parker, yeah.
So we had Jeff Parker on the show. We had a really interesting conversation with him about payments and expanding into Southeast Asia and stuff like that. And when I saw this story, Paymentology, I'm like, I think I know the CEO. That name sounds way too familiar to me. And I looked it up and I'm like, in fact, we did have him on the show in November.
Yeah.
There was no mention, not even like a little twinkle in his eye, about $175 million in this space is a big raise.
Really, really, especially in Europe, because they are based in the UK, if I remember correctly.
He was based in the UK, yeah.
And so for a British company to raise $175 million, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. So for people that don't know what Paymentology is, again, just to give some context, right? It's a cloud native issuer processing platform for banks and fintechs. They do card issuance and they do it in a sort of cloud native way. It handles real-time card and digital payment processing. That's the infrastructure layer that actually sits behind a bank's card program.
Okay. So when a bank issue a card,
super modern way. So yeah, go ahead.
So when the bank issue a card, the card doesn't necessarily come from the bank. It can come from Paymentology. We put the logo of the bank on that and just say now you have a card and we handle the back end of it.
So the bank issues the card. It looks like to the consumer that the bank or to the business, it looks like the bank issues the card, but on the back end, the technology stuff, because again, it's non-trivial to build the tech that actually does this in a modern way. Banks have been issuing cards to people for decades, but Paymentology came along and said, we have a better way to do it. And I don't remember the entire story, but again, the tech stack that they built was actually pretty impressive. And now they're raising $175 million to do this. Their pitch for this whole thing, again, if my memory serves me correctly, is that legacy bank processing systems for these card issuance stuff is just slow and not very flexible.
Okay.
But it makes sense, right? And you remember, Martin, we did a recording a few days ago where we talked to some regional banks.
Yes.
And one of the
Yes.
things they said in the context of artificial intelligence, and one of the things they told us was that um, they love new technology, but implementing it on top of their legacy
Super hard.
systems is just really hard because
Mm.
the number that
Close to
used was our
impossible.
systems are 30 to
Mm.
40 years old.
Yeah, close to impossible. Plus, like the people and all of this thing, like just like so much stuff that needs to happen. It's not just hey, let's make an update, basically. Mhm.
Yeah. 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 So they just allow banks to do card issuance and different types of card issuance in a way that's way more flexible, way more dynamic.
Okay.
Um, and they operate in, I want to get this number right, in 68 different countries.
Oh wow. Okay.
So remember we said if there are 190 countries in the whole world, and if we're gonna do it, how many countries in the world?
We need these stats, Michael, today.
How many countries in the world? 195 commonly recognized countries. So
Okay.
eBay's thing where they go like, yeah, we operate in 190 countries is just like, please get away from me.
Almost
We're,
everywhere except
we're operating everywhere.
North Korea, China. Like there's like a list of five basically, right? That they don't like.
Nothing in
That's it.
There's nothing in Tibet.
Nothing in Tibet.
No eBay in Tibet. No eBay in North Korea. What else do we
Imagine
have? No
eBay in
eBay in
Tibet.
Iraq, probably. No eBay in Iran. We need one more country, and then it's every country in the world.
Exactly.
Um, so they do this in 68 countries. So in almost one third of every country in the world, they are
Yeah.
operating. And excuse me, new sales for Paymentology, this is very impressive, grew 117% year on year in fiscal year 2025.
Nice.
So momentum is good. And I will say this. One of the reasons why I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, Martin, about Paymentology, that I didn't even see like a twinkle in Jeff Parker's eye,
Hmm.
because normally I feel like I can tell when a company leader is feeling really confident
Okay.
and they feel like something big is going to happen.
Okay.
And most people find it really hard not to mention, like, I'd love to tell you that thing that's about to happen, but I can't. You know what I mean? You know that tone of voice where they're like, something huge is coming,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah. Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
tell you.
But like
But I didn't get that vibe from him at all. Go ahead.
it was in November. Maybe all of that has started in January or February. Huh? You know, it may have
But
started after.
he knows the internal numbers. He knows that they grow over 100%.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He
He knows
knows.
that their transaction volumes
Mhm.
rose over 65% over the same time period.
Yes.
So he's not sitting there going like, "Uh-oh, we're going to get crushed." He's probably in his head going, "We need to raise some money if we're going to grow."
Mhm. Yeah,
Right?
we need to grow more, basically, right? Like that's what this fundraising is telling us, I guess, right? And actually, I will reach out to them and try to get them on the show. That would be super interesting to have them again and to tell us about their plan, right? Because we know the
Yeah,
team.
we can get them either on. Let's get them on AGTP. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That would be super cool. So then they can tell us more about their plan. But yeah, I mean, I remember when we talked to them during the Singapore FinTech Festival in November last year, they were starting to expand in Southeast Asia. It was, I think, their first event, their first, like a step into Southeast Asia at this point.
Yep.
And so maybe they see very good traction. They see that sales in the last few months has been really good. They sell to banks, so maybe it's a bit long, right? Like to sell to this, maybe like the sales process can be a little bit slow and take some time. So maybe six months is the right time frame, to have some good signal, and then in February, March, they're like, okay, now it's time to actually go for it. And 2-3 months later, they announce the fundraise. I think that would have happened this way. No?
So I was trying to remember, but I looked up on his LinkedIn profile. It was not his first time in Asia because he actually worked in Asia, and I remember him saying that he hadn't been back, and I think he had lived and worked in Hong Kong when he was at WorldPay or some other big payment company. But I'm struck by like just how, I won't say humble, because I don't think you can be the
Yeah,
CEO of a company
I
that's
agree.
growing at 100% a year, to
It
be
was very
actually
humble.
humble. But he was very, like, I would say, self-assured.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And
I
you're
agree.
right, Martin. Just a few more details.
Hmm.
I want to get the name of the people that actually led this because I think it's important. Apis Partners and Asperity Partners, which sounds like they could be cousins. But Asperity Partners is a pan-European private equity firm focused on fintech and enterprise technology, and Apis Partners, led via its Growth Fund 3. This is their 16th payments investments. They know what they're doing in the payment space.
Oh,
But
wow.
just to reiterate what you said, Paymentology's geographic focus is very heavy on growth markets, right? So
Okay.
like the Middle East, right? Again,
So
where some of the banking stuff is, there's a lot of money there, but maybe the infrastructure is not as robust as you'd like it to be, particularly from a card issuance standpoint. Latin America, right? So we've done some work ourselves in Latin. We
yes.
know like kind of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Africa,
Okay.
again, even if they have a banking infrastructure there, which in a lot of cases they hadn't, or they bypassed it. So going straight to something like Paymentology makes sense. And APAC, which is why we were talking to Jeff and his
Yes.
team when they were at the Singapore FinTech Festival, because from their perspective, every bank in, not every bank, but most banks in Asia and in Southeast Asia already do some kind of card issuance, but
Yes.
probably do it on legacy systems. And if they can help them upgrade those systems and make just their entire card infrastructure more flexible and more dynamic, it's a win for everybody.
It's a really big win for everybody. Yep. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, super interesting, super interesting, super
Yeah.
interesting. Let's try to get Jeff again on the show to ask him all of these questions. What's the vision? What are you building? How has been the growth since last time we spoke to you?
So just one more thing that I want to mention if you want to move on to like one more story.
Tell me.
According to the news, the funding goes towards obviously international expansion, something we've already discussed, product development, fair enough. But the roadmap, and he was mentioning this to us when we were in Singapore, is like the way accessing credit, like loans, not a credit card to like buy this thing, pay at the end of the month, but accessing credit via your card. Also stablecoin infrastructure, which again, we remember at the Money 2020 in April, I think every conversation we had somehow linked up to stablecoins. Tokenization, I remember he spent a lot of time talking to us about when we were in Singapore,
Okay.
and also, implementing artificial intelligence and having AI driven financial services. So all the stuff that they're going to need to invest in, I think makes perfect sense to me, but I'd love to get Jeff on to kind of get more details around each one of those areas. We could probably do an entire show just with him, but it would be great to have him on to kind of run through that stuff with us. That would be
Yep.
super.
Yes, 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 yes. But it's true to see like a company that is not only doing AI growing at that pace, right? It's really cool because today it looks like it's all about AI, right? But but fintech is still here, right? Like fintech is still here. Not all the money goes to AI. Not all the focus goes to AI. There is still problems to be solved in fintech. And maybe actually this is actually a very interesting thing. Like maybe this is actually the real test for fintech, because like I would say 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, it was the hot thing, right? Like, it was like the number one cool, fast growing thing. Now AI is the number one cool and fast growing thing. And so if fintechs want to be successful now, they need to be really doing something, right? Like they need to have real use case, real growth, real clients, because the momentum is on AI. And so when fintechs are still growing, still raising ton of money in a context where investors want to put their money into AI, it means like there's something happening, right? Like there's something happening for real. Like they see growth, they see momentum, they see real use case, they see people happy, they see clients using the solution, they see stickiness, and they see that there is something that is happening for real. They build something that people want to use, customers want to buy. And once again, in a world that's dominated by AI, it means, I think, to me a lot. It really means that, okay, they must be onto something here.
Absolutely. And I do think, look, the Singapore FinTech Festival launched in 2015, if my math is right, because last year was the 10th anniversary of the show.
Sure.
So now it begs the question is, will there be a Singapore AI Festival?
This is,
Singapore
I mean,
does want to be,
they have to.
Singapore is very committed. Sorry. Singapore is very committed to being a fintech hub. Like they wanted to do it, they did it, they've accomplished that. 65,000 people go to the Singapore FinTech Festival every year.
They want to be an AI hub even more.
They want to be an AI hub as well for Asia and for Southeast Asia.
For sure. I mean,
write that down, Mark. We need to talk to somebody in Singapore about the Singapore AI Festival.
Maybe that's why like they change the FinTech Festival owner, no? Or like, is it GFTN?
No, they spun it out. No, they spun it out of the MAS. They spun it out GFTN.
Okay. Yes. But the AMS is the monetary authority of Singapore, so it's still something based in finance, right? But they are, you're right. This is actually really, really interesting, because you're right that they built something very interesting, very big, very good in fintech, right? So they have the experience. Now they can just do the same thing in the AI space, right? Exactly. So maybe like all the event that we see, all the things that we are seeing right now in AI in Singapore, maybe just like it's just like the initial phase, right? And they are going to spin up something like MAS, right? Something like the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the AI Authority of Singapore, right? They are going to build a big event. They are going to keep investing like crazy into companies, because let's remind the audience that the latest big round of Anthropic was led by GIC, right? Like the
Exactly. Yeah. So
sovereign
it's not
wealth
like they're not
fund
paying
of
attention.
Singapore. So they definitely do pay attention. They led the latest funding round of Anthropic. OpenAI is also growing into the regions. People are starting to come to Singapore. Sorry, when I mean people, I mean like the US companies who grew in the US are starting to expand to Asia through Singapore, right? So there's more and more
Yep.
stuff happening here, and I wouldn't be surprised. You're right. I mean, I think this is an even safer bet that Singapore launch the Singapore AI AI authority. I think this is an even safer bet. They are already doing it. I feel they are already doing it.
Okay. So look, Martin, before we move on to our next and probably our last topic, depending on how much time we spend on Japan, and it's more of this to me is more of an Anthropic story than a Japanese story.
Okay.
Right? Because normally if it's just Japan related, I think I'd cover it on ATP Insights.
Yeah, we
But I thought
almost
because it's Anthropic into Japan, it's a global thing. Sorry, go ahead.
we can't do an entire episode without talking about AI. We need to have
No.
an AI
But
news.
there's one other thing that I wanted to cover before we get to this story, and that is
Okay.
normally when we do these recordings,
Mhm.
we're not holding the microphones in our hands.
No.
But the first place I saw like this type of thing was where? Like a guy holding a microphone like this at a press conference. This kind of microphone was where?
Okay. At the
You tell me.
conference?
No, at UFC.
Oh yeah, at the UFC. Yeah.
Dana White, just like giving like the
Yeah.
post-fight thing, like
He's like
the
this.
gate was $17 million. We broke every record. My
And
arms are bigger than yours, kind of thing. And I'm just looking
and
at you, and I'm thinking, is it me, or are your arms actually bigger than Dana White's?
and he has this exact mic actually. And actually, my we
That's the
forgot
point.
to put the
I
buds.
forgot
You
to
know,
put the things on. I know.
we have the
We'll do it
same
tomorrow.
buds as the UFC has. Yeah, we will do it tomorrow. But he has this
We'll do it
exact
tomorrow.
same mic. We use the exact same mic, but we
But
don't
I'm confused by how big your arms are. Like maybe your arms are bigger than Dana White's.
for sure much bigger.
Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the Japanese banks. So, what was it? A couple of months ago now, right? Where Anthropic came out and said we've developed this thing called Mythos. It's mythological. It's too dangerous to release.
Mhm.
It's not safe for work and stuff like that. But they also said because it's so dangerous, we're just going to give it to a select group of people. And I think what they've done is they've created a little bit, not even just a little bit, but quite a bit of FOMO,
Yes,
right?
basically.
Fear of missing out. And if you want to get access to it and see how it works, then you have to be part of this like testing mechanism that they had.
Mhm.
So I think the report today, yeah, it says it there. Reuters reports that Japan MegaBanks are going to get access to Anthropics in about 2 weeks, to Mythos in about 2 weeks. And those banks are MUFG. I don't know why they called MUFG when it's Mitsubishi UFJ. It always confused me when I was in Japan. Why not call it MUFJ? Please,
Okay.
can we get this right? Mizuho, Sumitomo Mitsui. I've borrowed money from all of, except for Mizuho. I borrowed money from UFJ and I borrowed money from Sumitomo Mitsui when I was building my house and whatever. So I know all these banks really well. Plus, they were my clients when I was at Goldman Sachs and at Morgan Stanley. Anyway, these would be the first. It's just interesting to me because these would be the first Japanese institutions ever admitted to Mythos's restricted rollout.
It's true.
And again, just to give people just, if you're just a casual listener or a casual viewer and you're not 100% paying attention to what's happening in the AI world, Mythos is Anthropic's kind of, I won't say it's their cybersecurity thing, but it does have a really strong capability to find out vulnerabilities in AI. And there's kind of selling it as a cybersecurity tool, the same way we talked about OpenAI's 5.5 last week, right?
Yes. Sure. The real timeline is Anthropic launched Mythos first. I mean, they said they launched it to a selected group of company, and then a week later, OpenAI said we have something as well, right?
Right. I have it. I
GPT
have it. Me too.
5.5,
Me
yeah.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Me too, me too. We also have something GPT 5.5 Cyber, which is available for way more people, but still a little bit restricted. That's what OpenAI did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
again, the reports that came out initially was that it found all of these 0-day vulnerabilities, that it's super
Mm-hmm.
powerful and blah, blah, blah. But to me, the interesting thing here is let's just go through their initial 12 partners just to give you a sense of who they are,
Mm-hmm.
what kinds of companies they are.
Mm-hmm.
AWS, Apple, Cisco, Google, which is interesting, JP Morgan, Chase, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Palo Alto Networks. It just seems like maybe they were all at a party together and they just raised their hand and like all you guys got access to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that's 10 and then 40 other. I think they gave it to 50 institutions. But the reason why I want to talk about this, Martin, is that because in the past, at least in my experience, the Japanese would have, and these Japanese banks are big,
Mm-hmm.
but in my experience, they would have sat in a room somewhere, drinking some highballs, and just complained to themselves under their breath about why they weren't included.
Okay.
Just like
That's
mumbling under
funny.
their breath.
Why not us?
Why not us
Whoa.
kind of thing. Just mumbling under their breath in Ginza about like why they weren't invited to be part of this thing. But in this case, it feels like they were
Mm-hmm.
proactive.
Okay.
Like I do think, and I've heard multiple generations of people say like, "Oh, Japan is changing. Japan is changing." It changes at a glacial pace, really
Okay.
slowly. But if you remember that guy who recorded with us on Insurance for the New Possible, the guy who was building that fintech but had really good friends at the Japanese regulators, the FSA.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. I
then we
remember.
recorded with the guy from the FSA as well. I just don't remember
Yes.
their names off the top of my head. But
Yes.
both of those guys said something really interesting to us. And I think this is actually proof of it. Is that when Japanese institutions do decide to move,
Mm-hmm.
they move together
Mm-hmm.
and they move decisively.
Which means they have a goal. Like they know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
which means they have a goal. But it like
Okay.
in this way, they just really wanted to be included. They wanted to participate in something that was going on globally,
Mm-hmm.
right? That had no relationship to them at all. It wasn't like a lending thing.
Mm-hmm.
And these are
Mm-hmm.
banks. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like a lending thing. It wasn't
Okay.
an automotive thing. It wasn't something where they are fundamentally normally really good, but they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be involved because they wanted to be able to test this thing for themselves and see like what the impact was on their own businesses and maybe to see if they had vulnerabilities, but also to be able to get the cachet and the prestige of going, hey, we're also involved in this testing.
Mm-hmm. Which are the
And
first global companies, right? Like that, the first companies outside of the US who say we are going to use Mythos. So it's a little short list, and they are included. So that's nice for them.
yeah, and it's also at the government level too. So they're not there. The finance minister apparently announced a 36 entity public private working group on Mythos class cyber risks. So they're taking this really seriously. Members include the MegaBanks, Internet Banks, the Bank of Japan, and the Japanese units. So there are Anthropic and OpenAI do actually operate somewhat in Japan.
Okay.
And this working group is going to get together for the first time this week or next week. Like they're taking
Wow.
this stuff seriously. Um, and what they're going to do is they're going to try to work on. They're not just going to randomly, because the whole point of Glasswing itself was, if you find a vulnerability, share that vulnerability with the rest of the people that are in the test, so that then we can spread it out to the rest of the world and help people. That was the whole idea of OpenAI's original program,
Yes.
Anthropic's original program, right? It's like we have this thing, it's super powerful, but we don't want to give it to you if you're going to muck around.
Yeah.
We want to give
Let's
it to you
try
if you're going to
first.
help people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Japanese want to participate in this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because we talk about the US, we talk about China, obviously, we talk about Singapore, we talk about Japan, and that's pretty much it, right? That's are the four big countries that are involved into AI news cycle, right? Like we never talk about Europe once again, right? Like they are
I was just
completely
thinking, like,
out.
why we never.
They could
So
do the same thing. They could do the
yeah,
exact
like,
same thing. Like Japan has 100 million people in Europe, in the Western Europe, let's say, if we want to take people on
400
the
million people.
same.
400 million people in the European Union
Yeah, and like maybe
on the
200 if you
continent.
just count Western Europe, right? So it's like twice the size of Japan, right? So like why once again we are not talking about Europe at all? Right? I really
Zero.
wonder.
Yeah,
Zero.
it's weird. It's weird. It's weird for me because, and again, hard to say this, but like I spent most of my early adult life in Japan.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I feel like I have a lot of at least just like embedded early stage knowledge about like what
Yeah,
Japan is like.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah,
an American born and bred, as a U.S. citizen, the guy who was educated in the United States, a guy who has family in the U.S. and who
yeah.
follows what's happening in the United States, I feel like I know both of those markets actually really well.
Yes, 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 yes,
But we
yes.
also live in Southeast Asia, where I've lived for now for almost 15 years.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying, my first time in Singapore was for business was in 1991.
Hmm.
So I have a long history in Southeast in Asia as well, outside of Japan. I've never lived in Europe, but as a
Hmm.
European, as you are, it must look strange to you that like the big industrialized economies in Europe, like Germany, like France,
France,
um,
yeah, the
like the
UK.
UK,
Mm.
um, which combined, you're right. So 70, 70, 90,
Yeah,
two
so
hundred
that's
and
about.
something million
Hmm.
people
Hmm. Hmm.
rounded, yeah. And
Hmm.
not one of these frontier models have come out of Europe.
None of them. Zero.
And,
There
and
is
and
more
none of them.
activity.
So and remember, we talked about Agnes. Do you mind if I say this?
Mm.
Like we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
Agnes. There are people
Hmm.
in Asia who are going like, besides DeepSeek, besides Kimi, besides the other models that are being built in China. There, I mean, Manus as well. But there are people in Singapore who are going like, we can do this better.
Yeah,
But what's the German model? And
no
which
idea.
German banks are involved in this big test? Where are they? Where are the big French banks or the big French
Exactly.
institutions? Where is
Where are
Xavier
the
Niel?
yeah? Where are the Xavier Niel? Where are the data centers? Where are the AI models? Where are the chips? Right? Like I don't know what they are doing.
I
Besides
don't know what
nothing.
they're doing
Right?
either.
Like besides
But again,
nothing.
that was one of the reasons why I wanted to
Are they
bring this up, right?
sleeping? Yeah.
Because
Are they sleeping?
just from a proximity, yeah, exactly. Net, I don't know. From a proximity standpoint, France is way closer to the United States than Japan is.
Exactly.
So is Germany.
And plus like culturally as well, right? Like when you go to Japan, it feels almost like a different world, right? Like it's
You
really
think?
really really different. Like but
Yeah.
when you go from France to the US, like it's not that different at the end of the day,
It's
right? Like it's
different, but it's not that
yeah,
different.
no, 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 not as much as Japan is different from the US or from Europe. Like so many things are different. They don't
No, no,
even
no.
speak really, really, really good English in Japan, right? Like
No.
they
Still.
you don't have a big part of the population who do, right? So it's a very domestic market as well. So yeah, so I mean that's really really great. Like we have really Asia and the US who are doing something and we are pushing really 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 hard into AI, right? I feel like we speak a lot about Japan as well, right? Like this is one news, but we talked about the robots that they launched at the airport. We talked
Yep.
about also like the investment they are making in the US to build robots that build data centers, right? Like for a country that has only 100 million people, they are super active, right? Like they do a ton of stuff in the AI space. And what's interesting here is that they do a ton of stuff, but globally, right? They don't do only like funding something in Japan or funding this model from Japan or funding these data centers in Japan. They do that, but on top of that, they also do all the global stuff. They want to
Yeah.
participate in the global discussion, which once again is really, 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 really impressive because they managed to be at the table, right? So it's really nice.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Okay, Martin, let's do this. Let's save the Anduril story for tomorrow night.
We can do that.
Yeah, because I don't want to spend 2 seconds on it, but I think let's give it a little bit more time tomorrow. So
Perfect.
let's end here. Is that cool?
Yep, we can end here. We had a
Let's do
great
that.
show.
I want to thank
Mhm.
everybody. This was a great show. I want to thank everybody as always for watching um AGTP Daily. We really, really appreciate you when you watch, whether you watch us live or you watch us afterwards. Please give us a thumbs up on today's video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us out. And follow us on all of our socials on X, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. And as always, let us know in the comments. Ask us questions. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you would like us to discuss on any of our upcoming shows. We will be back again tomorrow, even when we are on the road at 11 a.m. We have to look at Martin's arms that are bigger than Dana White's. Put those things away, man. Put
we
those
need to
things away.
we need to sit like this, Michael. We need to sit like
I know. We need to sit
the
like,
2 elbow on the table.
I need to have a jacket that's too small for me. I should shave my head so I can be bald. Um, we'll be back again tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time. My name is Michael Waits. That is Martin Runford. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye bye.